What's up, guys? Excited to have you guys on WFS Live. I started like 10 seconds early, so hopefully you guys are having a good day, and just excited. We're going to be reviewing some wedding films today. I got Jared with me here. What's up, dude? You're not on. I'll turn you on. There you are.
Hello.
How's your day going so far?
Oh man, my day is going pretty great. A couple consultations this morning. I just ate some delicious Papagino's pasta. I can't really complain. It's it's a day.
This is my jam lately. Even though I know, like, if you're in Texas, like, this is all you drink. But what I really like is passing this on down the generations to my daughter, who now demands Topo Chico with every meal.
That is so funny. Every time we do go out, she's always like,
"Oh, your camera died. What could possibly happen?"
Oh, hang on one second.
I'll keep talking.
I bet it's a battery issue.
It could be. It could be a battery issue, even though I just put the battery on. Welcome to the show, guys. We like to review wedding films here. We're wedding filmmakers ourselves. If you've never joined our show before, we got Jared, we got myself, Jason McCutcheon, and of course we have Bobby Burns, who's not on the show today. So it's Jared and I. But what we like to do on this show, we like to review people's wedding films, and in general, we're trying to help them level up, get better, and one of the things we try to do with this type of review is many people are like, oh, like, we don't review them all the same. And the reason why is because we want to give someone a tip that's going to help them level up and push them to the next level. We're not necessarily trying to help them make the film I would make or the best film in the world. We're trying to help them just get that little bit better. And so we're going to be focused on giving them practical steps that they can actually apply tomorrow to get better. And I think typically the way we do that is we like to do a round of, hey, this is what we loved about the film. And we'll each give a couple things we liked about the film. And then we're going to talk about a couple things we think they could do a little better. And in general, we're going to be focused on cinematography, maybe little audio things, editing, pacing, storytelling in general. And hopefully you guys get something out of it. By no means are we like the gurus of editing. And I am not on the center, and that's driving me nuts, Jared. Like, I'm looking at this, and I got to turn this camera.
Okay, yeah.
There we are. Anyway, so that is how we do things here on the show. Jared's camera is back working. He's back. How you doing, bud?
We're a mess over here. Every single week, it's a rough patch.
It's hard. We're just like, oh shoot,
hard.
we have to do a live stream.
Yeah, and I'm like literally getting off the phone, and sorry, my camera was unplugged. It's plugged into the wall. That's why I was like, why is it not powered? But
now it is plugged.
We're good to go.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Everything is great.
I'm really excited, Jay, not only about this wedding film reviews that we're going to do today, but I'm not sure if you knew this, but I just got back from Davos, the World Economic Forum. Did you know
good.
that I went to that?
Yeah,
we have
you went
really great things planned for all you people this year. It's gonna be a great year, I think, for all of us.
Well, the good news is wedding films are gonna be okay. We made sure of that.
They're gonna be okay. The poor people will suffer, but it's just a part of the process. Are we gonna get
flagged by YouTube?
Yeah.
Did you just get
maybe
thrown off the algorithm?
Well, the two people that watch our live stream, maybe it'll be cut down to like one person, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, here we go. So our first live stream today, or our first wedding film today, is brought to you by. Okay, I'm going to do my very best with this last name, Jared. Jeremiah Kangbo. And if you scroll, Jared, you want to read, tell us some more about this film from Jeremiah?
I would. Let me.
Jared, I told you to click the link before.
It's here. It is here. I just was making sure that we are still live because I'm getting a connect to internet. I think I'm just on a bad network, but I can do this.
Yes, great. Go for it.
So Jeremiah said, Hi, my name is Jeremiah. I am 19 years old, and I have been trying to break into the wedding film industry for a few months now. I was asked to do my sister's wedding for free, and I said yes. The wedding happened to be in late December last year in New York City. All of it was shot on a Canon R5, primarily on a DJI Ronin gimbal.
Canon R5.
Tascam.
Top
recorder,
visuals.
Lav mic. Yep. Not bad for a first camera, I would say. And I certainly wish I had something to work with, looking back, considering it now. Would have made the speeches a lot better. The venue was beautiful and had bad lighting for filming, and it was very small space. I shot everything by myself. I wasn't able to capture everything I would have liked to. Sounds like a first wedding. Due to the responsibilities I had as the brother of the bride.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. I've done that, by the way. I did my sister's wedding, and it was not fun. Mistake on my part, I would say. But this was 10 years ago for me. Anyways, let's see. I just seemed pretty unique to me, so I was really happy with how it looked. All in all, I had a great time shooting my first wedding film and definitely have a lot to learn. Would love to hear what you guys' feedback is on
Jared, I found our first paid wedding film.
Are you going to play it right now?
I don't mind playing it later. Let's do this one.
Okay.
I do have it. Like, not the first wedding film that we put on the channel, but the first one we got paid for.
Sure.
So it's funny.
Yeah.
Focus roles abound.
Yeah. I remember when we first did that film, one of the feedbacks that we got from just some random internet person was like, lots of focus rolls, and we're like, screw that guy, he doesn't know art. And now we look back on it, like,
they were right.
There were a lot of focus rolls.
a little heavy on the focus rolls.
Yeah, all good. You know, you live and you learn. And I'm sure, actually, I'm interested to see a Jeremiah's wedding, because I find a lot of people's wedding films, their first wedding films, are way better than ours were back in the day.
Yes. Well, I mean, I will say this. We were not working with the body of knowledge that many of these people are.
Yes.
We're kind of inventing it. So here we go.
Pedro, from the day that I met you, I knew you were special.
The back of my mind, I repeat them one by one.
A few days after I met you, I knew I wanted to marry you.
And bury my head in your hands and heart.
Obviously, I wanted to play it cool, and I didn't tell you that right away, so I waited at least 3 weeks. I knew you were it for me.
Want you close to me, close to me.
This has to be the 4th time we've reviewed this song. I mean, we've used it, so I'm not judging anyone, but it's so funny to me how, like, people are just like, this is the song for the year.
I mean, as soon as you started playing it, I was like, I like this song. It's such a good wedding song.
It is.
I knew you must be annoyed by it.
Well, it's Chapters.
Yeah.
It's fine.
This is Chapters. This is a chapter song.
This is the Chapter song.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with said Chapter song, except that I've definitely heard it a lot. Sure. But anyway, here we go. More with this Chapter song.
Yep.
Close to me, oh close.
Tiana, I love you with my whole heart, and I'm so incredibly proud to be your husband for the rest of our lives.
Can you imagine going to a Chapters concert, Jared?
It's just a bunch of people making out.
I love your
It's just
artistic
all these
eye
filmmakers.
and your ability to see and capture God's beautiful creation in ways that I've never seen. I love that you push me and you hold me to a high standard. You keep me in check. You balance me out in ways that no one else can.
Are you able to hear that audio ducking, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes Bobby can't pick that. You have a better feed than Bobby normally does, though.
Yeah, we're not going through the internet.
Anyway, interesting. Well, of note.
I love your heart and how much you extend yourself for those you care for. And above all, I love how you make me feel like home.
What you said in the back of my mind, I repeat them one.
Did you tap?
Yeah.
Whoa. Insta cry.
I love you. Sorry, my hand's cold. No, it's okay.
Tiana is special. Tiana has made New York and my time entering this crazy metropolis that much more special. She instantly made me feel right at home, even though we were living in one of the largest cities in the world. She has showed me the best example of what genuine and unconditional friendship is. Tiana is so loving, caring, understanding, helpful, talented, and oh so much more that it genuinely take the entirety of the speech to name every single thing.
They say that when you fall in love, time stands still. For Pedro, this happened 7 years ago in the Horton dormitory when he met me. She saw through the goofiness to see a man who is honest, hilarious, loving, trustworthy, and has a deep and devoted relationship not only to God but to his fellow man. And you have my deepest respect for that.
Pedro and Tiana, having witnessed your vows before God, family, and friends gathered here today, I now announce you as husband and wife. You may now kiss.
This wedding looks fun.
Wicked fun.
I wish I was at this wedding. Anyway. Don't you feel like when we first started, like we shot a lot of these couples and types of weddings?
Fun people?
Well, like, yeah, like, no, like, yes, maybe fun. Like, it was just like type of fun. It was like more of like this, like,
Real, authentic people.
normal people.
Normal people. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I always like when you can like pick up on like the energy of the community that they're a part of. I feel like you see that in this film.
Yep.
Is Jeremiah in the chat? I didn't see him.
Yeah, Jeremiah is in the chat.
Okay, Jeremiah, do me a favor. What lenses did you use on this? I'd love to know about that. And what did you have available to you? Because I feel like that's going to play into some of the feedback.
That shot is sick.
Yeah.
Drone shot.
Yeah, that's awesome. That illegal drone shot.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can't do it in New York. I forgot about that.
I mean, maybe in like
Stock footage.
one or two
Stock
little
footage.
areas you
Yeah.
can do.
If the FAA is watching, it's stock footage. Okay.
Yeah, stock footage that you used. Great job. Great choice of stock footage.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said before, we're going to do a couple things that we liked about the film, and then some areas that Jeremiah can have like immediate improvement on the film. But before we do any of that, I was going to say your sister's really lucky to have this, and great job.
Yeah, I would agree. One of the things that is great about having a brother that's a wedding videographer is you get a free wedding film. So,
This is a really like a special gift, and I think that's great.
Yep.
So, you should be proud of yourself.
in terms of things that I liked about the film, I would say for a first wedding film, we talked about it a little bit, but the song choice is great because it's a fairly easy song to edit to.
Mm-hmm.
But it hits, it thumps, it has the parts that make people want to cry.
Good vibes too.
Good vibes, heartfelt, meaningful, oomphs, I would say. So good choice there. I think a lot of times people can kill themselves over trying to pick a good song, and that's not something that I would say is worth doing, especially when you have chapters. Start with a chapter song and it will be a lot easier because you're just trying to figure out your storytelling at the very beginning. So I think choosing a song that's easy to edit to was a good choice. I would say all of these shots and the film that you made is very good, dude. It's a excellent first film. I can tell that you have a little bit of experience in some other ways, because you're not dealing with a lot of like exposure issues that a lot of first-time filmmakers are dealing with. Exposure issues, white balance issues. I think for the most part you made the right choices. Jay might.
I would say I very much
areas,
disagree on the white balance, but I do think in general it was solid exposures throughout the film.
Yeah. I don't think they were awful. I don't think they were off. There's certain parts that I would probably choose to warm up. That's
real blue. There's this is all I was gonna say, and we can just while we're on this, see her veil.
Yep.
Every time they were in light, it looked great.
Yep.
So my guess is he just had it on daylight balance the whole time.
Yep.
And
that's what it is.
And he should have, if he was gonna do this like sequences in the shadow, he should have adjusted it. But in general, we'll talk about it.
I think this film is much better than our first film that we made. So props to you. I think you captured the moments.
For sure.
And overall, really good. Like you understood what you're trying to do, and I think you executed well on it.
I think the thing I said while we were watching it, like there's a lot of good shots. First of all, which I know is important to filmmakers. They just want to be like, I'm a good shooter, and my shooting looks good, and I think it looks good. So good job, you succeeded there. And I think honestly, the most important thing is, it's your sister, so I give you like definitely them, so that's great. But I think, how can you take this over to your next couple, like this way of like connecting with the community, the people, the vibe, like it felt good. The film felt good, and like people need to realize like wedding films, more than being technical, need to feel right. Like it's expressive art in the sense that like the person watching it is like going like, oh yeah, that felt like my wedding day. I felt connected to it, plugged in. And I really feel like you succeeded in that area, which is like the human element of wedding filmmaking. And that's like a touch thing, right? You can't always teach that. Some people are very technical, but they're just wooden when they tell stories. And this was good. You can tell you got a good spirit and a good heart, and and you were connecting, and that's great. So keep doing that. Keep carrying that to your other couples as a filmmaker. Let's talk about some areas to improvement. I had mentioned the one already. Like you can even see it here. Like the highlight on his tie is correctly white balanced. When you're in a scenario like this, this is what I would tell someone is obviously lean towards what most of the image is. If like 80% of the image is taken up by shadow, white balance for the shadow. But really, it's also like, this is just my belief, Jared, is like whenever you're shooting a portrait session, like in general, people want to look warm, not cold.
I agree.
So if you're wondering what do I do in this scenario, I think just warming it up, and if the highlights are a little too orange, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like people don't really mind. Oh, that's warm and sunny.
I wonder, Dom asked a question, our buddy Dom Wilkins asked a question in the chat and asked if Jeremiah was a photographer beforehand. And actually, when it comes to white balance, I think that would make sense because a lot of photographers actually do shoot auto white balance. So as they're changing back and forth, they can just adjust in post and change their white balance very easily. Obviously, on the video side, it's a little bit harder to do that. You got to really like... make sure I will say the R5's metering is pretty good. Mm-hmm. So if you really want to shoot auto white balance, by the way, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Just make sure it's metering quickly. It's not like every minute it's checking a white balance. Yep. You need to make sure it's actually adjusting. Yep. And I would say, I don't shoot auto white balance when I do a wedding film. I'm sticking to Kelvin scale. I'm not sure that's probably what most people would do.
I've actually found that's not true, Jared, that we are weird about using Kelvins.
Okay. I mean,
drop in the chat if you are a Kelvins person with your white balance, or if you are a using the sun person, or if you are just like auto.
Or tungsten or whatever the auto features, because we go in and we do Kelvins, and then we even do color shift, like do the tint a little bit.
Sometimes you have to do Kelvins plus tint.
I just like to get it as close to what I want it to be in camera, so that once it comes to post, we don't have to crank, color or exposure. You want it to be as close to the
Wedding
final
filmmaking
image.
is all about having a fast edit. So the more you get this right in camera. So I would say that.
And then when it comes to shooting Calvins, if you do decide to be weird like us, I guess, that I would say if you're outside, the industry standard is going to be 5,600 Kelvins. I like to actually bump it up to 58 and give it a little bit more warmth. In the shadow areas in a shot like that, it would make your whites more white and it would make the sunlight more orange, which at that time of day, you want the sunlight.
I would probably be shooting this like maybe 6,800. That's so blue.
Potentially. Depends on what part of the day it is.
I would have to look at it in camera, but if I was just eyeing it, I'd be like, oh.
He said he just shot this in December, and usually December is a lot cooler than your summer months would be.
Yeah,
just the way the sun hits, and there's not as much crap in the air for the sun to refract through. Yeah. So it's just going to feel a little cooler.
Everything, everything, even the warm sun is colder.
Yep, definitely.
So the other thing I would
too.
say about the film is there's a lot of audio issues in terms of the ducking and just the way that you're coming in and out of that stuff. I think you definitely want to make it has to feel right. It can't feel abrupt and like it's cutting and like it sounds like ducking, but which is like basically when one volume source comes up, the other one automatically comes down. But I don't think you did that. My guess would be you just faded in and out, but it was too abrupt. And you give yourself make it feel a little softer and a little cleaner. And then the last thing I was gonna say is, I felt like he was shooting on too close most of the portrait session. He didn't give himself really much variety there, and I would have liked to seen a little more wide shots, a little more like just kind of like not just kind of like so close to people's faces. Yeah, and I do think some of the like table details and stuff could be shot a little better.
Yep. Yeah, I would say when it comes to the audio, something I notice, and a lot of times when people first start editing, they do this. It's very common. Is whenever they're speaking, they go to the shot of the actual speaker. And I would say advanced filmmakers use kind of voiceover or sound bites. They overlap B-roll with their sound bites and transition into the speech a little bit less abrupt. And it will be less jarring.
Well, and also like you don't want to be like blah, 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 up.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 up. And it's just like every time, like just kind of let it settle.
Yep. You want it to, it's like a good recipe. You want all the ingredients to blend together as opposed to being like, oh, there's a lot of cilantro in this, or I'm tasting like this weird milk or whatever it might be. I don't know what you're making with cilantro. And
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But when you're making a stew or something, you want it all to blend together. And same thing with a wedding film. You want it to just not have one, you want it to be one flavor and not a bunch of different flavors that you're tasting.
Yes.
Like a Chipotle burrito when they make it bad. Jay, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't want just a bite of sour cream.
A bite of sour cream. And then, yeah. That's what it kind of feels like when you're watching that type of wedding film.
What about you? What are some areas you think you could improve on?
So I think the ambulance in the middle of the ceremony, if you could have just gone outside and yelled at them. No, that always sucks because it's like, and you know what? It just seems like when you're first starting, more stuff like that always happens.
It's true though, because you're not in certain. I mean, I hate to say this to people, but like if you're not in a nicer venue, like where it's like controlled environment, that's pretty much why you're paying for those venues, right?
And it just sucks because like the part that the ambulance is going by is a really nice part, and there's some
what a beautiful restaurant too. I want to eat.
Really cool New York restaurant. That's a dope spot.
It's jam. Sure. It's a jam. I'm like I like as much as I didn't. Honestly, the ambulance I didn't love, but what I think if the audio was recorded a little better and you had the ambulance and you were like intentional with the ambulance, maybe it could have been a fine story element. You are in New York.
Yep. I have a couple critiques. One is going to be like a shooting critique, and then the others want to dive into a little bit of storytelling stuff because I think that's why people are here is to just hear about storytelling. There was one shot like right after the ceremony, that long gimbal shot of them running out.
Yeah, that
shots
was a little
that are really long tend to just drag, especially nowadays. People want the cuts. People want to get to it.
Well, and that is a Jared pet peeve.
It is, because it's just like, okay, I understand what they're doing. Get on with it. And I think as a viewer, I felt that way during that shot. But other than that, I think your cuts are good. Like the rest of the film, besides that one part, I think the cut, not talking about audio, just talking about like getting into the moment.
Yeah.
The cuts.
He used the song well, and he like paced his cuts well.
Editing to music, it's either acquired over many years and just seeing a lot of films, or it comes very naturally to people. And I feel like this being your first wedding film, music probably comes very naturally to you. So keep on going with that. That usually means that you have a step up on a lot of other, editors out there. When it comes to storytelling elements, a couple things stood out to me. Is I felt like I knew the groom really well from this moment, actually, right here, where he's sobbing.
Although I wish he would have shot it in a little bit of with 2 cameras, but regardless.
He only had 1 camera.
Yeah, I know.
But I agree. But I didn't feel like I knew his sister as well. And I don't remember really hearing her voice unless
during the vows. During the vows.
But in general, I felt like I knew him probably a little bit more than I knew his sister, and maybe that's a little bit of like, you're so close to your subject, you're so close to your sister that it's hard to see that kind of stuff, maybe. But I wish I got to hear her a little bit more and see her and get to know kind of her personality. You see her laugh a lot, which I'm assuming is a big
and
part
the
of her personality.
dancing, like I think it just was his like moment was such a big moment. It did overshadow.
Yes.
I don't know that he could have done anything about that, but I do see what you're saying.
So my question to you, Jay, would be, how did you feel about the sobbing scene with the groom? Do you like it?
I would have liked it used better.
Yeah, I felt like you have to use that moment, right? It's like such an important moment of that film is like seeing the groom be emotional. You want to see it. But then I almost kind of felt bad for him a little bit. Like,
I would have probably cut it a little more. I definitely think he should have just shot a 2-shot the whole time and not tried to get close on him or on her. And then I think I would have probably either used it as a break in the middle and cut the music.
Yeah.
And then used like cut in, or maybe the intro.
Yep. I think it was a really that's the moment was really sweet there. I think you're right though, just using it a little bit differently, cutting a little bit.
And he needs some lights.
Would be good. And then I think the last thing I wanted to mention when it comes to like where you put your sound bites is talking a little bit about like themes. There's a lot of good emotion in this film. There's a lot of like good emotion, like deep, like, soppy wedding stuff. But then there's also a lot of like really high, just positive, fun vibes, right? And when you're cutting from like a really emotional thing to a really funny thing, like one part, I think they're laughing up front, and it goes straight from like something that's kind of emotional to like kind of you hear the crowd even laughing in the background. I like the idea of like theming it a little bit more and being like, hey, kind of soppy, sentimental stuff, romantic stuff, doing those sound bites back to back to back, including the scene of, the groom crying. And then as maybe, hey, we're married, the energy is kind of being leveled up a little bit. You go into your funnier kind of sound bites. So I don't know. That's something that I've been thinking about and talking to Caleb about.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's
things.
We're doing a video about it soon, but like basically ways you can storytell and edit, and like one of them is obviously chronological, but another one is like you see this with a lot of the greats, right, where it's thematic, and sometimes it's like themes like commitment and like themes like that, and sometimes it's like emotionally themed. Like soppy, fun. That's kind of how we do our films, Jared. Is like romantic, personal, fun.
Yep.
Right? And like that's kind of how the edit goes. And I do think this film maybe could have used 2 songs. Even if it was like 3 minutes with one and 1 minute with the other. I just felt like this couple was like they needed they were fun. Yeah. I wanted to see them in that context.
This is probably one of the only times Jason will advocate to make the film longer, right?
Yeah, well, it was short. It was like it was 4 minutes. I think it could have been done with like 3 minutes of Close to You and 1 minute of a fun song. Yeah. Maybe would have felt better.
Yep.
Good film.
So very good film. Congratulations, Jeremiah. Like, keep on working on it, man. You're going to be a great little filmmaker, man. So good job. I did want to answer a couple questions. Wayne Jason asked a question that we actually talked about yesterday, which is, he says, "Hi, fellas. Watching from Miami, Florida. Great stream. Will you guys be at WPPI this year?"
The answer is no.
No.
I, in some ways, would like to. They do not have the film competition. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's great for us in terms of time to go. It's a huge time commitment and a lot of money, and maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe we'll go back. When they bring it back to us, that's kind of the value to our community, and honestly what I spent most of my time doing when I was there.
Yeah.
So I'm not a judge because there's no film competition. So maybe I'll judge again in the future. That would be fun. I enjoyed it.
WPPI is always really leaned 95% of into photography, right? We were kind of like the video side. Like there was a film competition, and the Wedding Film School was there, and we threw, the Wedding Film Speakeasy and kind of got all the filmmakers together and did some, partying, hanging out, having fun with other filmmakers. But to us, without the film competition, there's going to be less filmmakers there. It's just, it's drying up when it comes to, the filmmaking side. So
we'll see what they revamp, if they revamp, and stay tuned, I guess. But
yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to hear what some people who are going are going to experience. Wayne, if you're one of them, please let us know kind of what they're doing. But, until there's any kind of incentive for, filmmakers to come out there, there's really no point because it is expensive, and we like to have fun, and we might do some wedding film speakeasies separately. Just
well, I know like
cities.
Lindsay's there. Yep. Lindsay was like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going." He's like, but anyway, so you can go take a class from Lindsay Conklin if you want. That's definitely worth your time. So,
Dom, would you want to come back with us? We kind of put you through the ringer that first year. Dom, the first time, second time we went to WPBI, he edited with us when we were out there doing a lot of podcasting, and it was nonstop work, like 9 to 10 o'clock at night. So
it was fun. All right, so the next film, speaking of Dom, is from Dominique Wilkins.
Yes.
So Dom submitted, and I was like, I gotta put Dom up there, but so this film is a very personal film for us. Because this is my cousin that he shot their wedding. I actually shot some of this film, Jared.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
I shot some of the handheld. I was like, give me that camera. So I shot some of the. I'm pretty sure some of these are my shots of some of the table details in cocktail hour with the dad cam.
Yep.
But this is an interesting thing, right? Because this film is Dominique was kind of one of our guys for years. Filmmaker, worked on our team, still sometimes shoots with us.
Dom's going to shoot with us this year.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours, part of the family, I would say.
Yep.
And then we have all these people. The groom shoots with us, or shot with us, not anymore, but he shot with us for a couple of years, Isaiah.
Yep.
I'm in the film, I think, sitting there sometimes.
They cut you out.
Caleb, one of our guys. So this is like a family film. Like this is literally my actual family. My sister's in the wedding party. So it's just one of those things. It's really interesting. So yeah, we kind of, I just let's put it in there. So I'm proud of this because it represents who we are, Jared, as a community, as a company. And I always think man, so many filmmakers should have this. They should have people that they do life with, filmmakers that they know, people that they have fun with. And this just represents kind of what we've been able to do. Yep. And also it's cool, man. Yep. A lot of these connections are because of wedding filmmaking.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure none of these people would be at this wedding if it wasn't because of wedding filmmaking.
Yep, I agree. If you have been doing this for any amount of time, even one wedding film, it's a lonely profession. You
Taylor shot on this too.
Yep, Taylor's in it. It's most of our peeps. And so, but yeah, I think definitely working alongside with people that you love, even if it's just a second shooter that you work with on half your weddings, having someone to be like, what do you think of this film that I just did? And having someone to just bounce ideas with. is important. And I would encourage people to find people like that. And you can find them right here on Wedding Film School. The Facebook group is a great place to find who's in your local area and get connected with them.
And if you're liking what we're doing, then go ahead and drop a like on this video.
Make sure you
Subscribe
like
to
the
the
video.
channel. All that stuff. What's up, guys?
Yeah. We're
Do you do
great
do your Peter McKinnon?
No, I'm not good at it. Caleb's good at it. I wish I was good at it.
Caleb, come in here. Do the Peter McKinnon. Come on.
Let's watch this film, dude.
He's gonna do it afterwards. I'm
Okay.
gonna make him do Peter McKinnon.
That's what our intro or outro should be at
Yeah.
the very end.
All right, here we go.
I'm excited, nervous,
Terrible quality.
and slightly scared. But we're gonna have a good time, and we'll soak this day up.
It's a California sleepless night in a trailer below headlight. Babe, I'm trying to get to you. I'm almost home.
Heavenly Father, may Brooke and Isaiah live at peace and be thankful in all things. May their life together be grounded in your word, and may your love, God, shine in them and through them as they make their vows to each other today.
I'm almost home.
Always remember that God created this marriage because he loves the both of you.
I got a fire in my veins tonight. Put on that record. Let's get lost in a time. My blood is running with you. I'm alive. Put on that record. Put on that record tonight.
Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. And let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. And whatever you do or say, do it as a representative of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father.
Summertime, looking just like you did when I first saw you. I got a fire in my veins tonight. Put on the record. Let's get lost in a time. My blood is running with you. I'm alive. Put on the record. Put on the record tonight. Put on the record tonight. How'd you wait
I, Isaiah, take you, Brooke, to be my wife,
such a long time?
I, Brooke, take you, Isaiah, to be my husband,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poor,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
until we are parted by death.
until we are parted by death. This is my solemn vow.
This is my solemn vow.
All you see is idle. You got some kind of love.
What a nerd Isaiah is. Look at him crying like a total baby. What a loser.
Those who God has joined together, let no one put asunder. Isaiah.
I found your peaking audio.
Strongest silence, quietest thunder. Flooded island, I go under. Way in the dead of night, you take me by surprise.
Is this R6 or R5?
All I see is
I told you he was a nerd.
That car.
shadows fade. Every shade of blue. Shapes are rearranging. Yeah. Everything is changing.
That's my shot. And this one.
Brooke, you are so loving and kind and caring, and you're warm and friendly, and you're a difference maker to all of us. And Isaiah, when you came to us, you had a reputation, a very, very good one, from BCA and the Blessing Barn. And I watched you because you were dating her, and you exceeded everything I thought would be possible. I love what I see in you, and you make her happy.
Brooke is my daughter, but she's also my best friend. Since you've been born, you've just brought me nothing but joy. Zay, you have such a big heart and will do anything for anyone. You have such a sweetness that exudes from your body. I love you both so much.
Your body.
Thank you.
This is how I like to see their relationship in the future in their marriage. Them lifting each other up when they're down and when they're in need of each other. I love you guys. Congratulations.
That was a funny
your
speech.
soulmate at such a young age. You've not only been my role model since we were little, but you've been my hero.
Those are my cousin's children.
Shameless cameo, Dom. Shameless. Oh, man. With the engine open, too?
Yo, dog.
That's awesome.
Okay. Dom, good film. Dom is widely known around here as one of the best shooters. Clean, always clean. No issues ever with the footage, and I think more of that continued. And so let's talk about the stuff that we liked and then some areas where we think Dom can improve.
Yeah. Stuff that we liked first?
Yeah, we always do stuff we liked
Yeah,
first.
okay. So, yeah, obviously just clean. Yeah, these details that we're looking at just are the ones that I love. Okay. I'm not going to critique yet because that was one of the shots that I was like, oh. But anyways, yeah, just clean looking footage. I love the DV cam because it's just them. It's exactly, Isaiah and Brooke.
I mean, that's the same theme as the first one, right? It's like bringing somebody's personality to the screen.
Yep. And, I probably wouldn't do DV camera for every wedding, just like I probably wouldn't recommend it for every, or Super 8 for every wedding. It has to match the vibe. It has to be something that someone is willing to do. And in the case of doing like DV camera or Super 8, I think it's something that a lot of times people should pay for. Or if you think it matches their personality, it's something that they should.
It's always a tough thing with that extra media, right? It's like it is more work.
How do you incorporate it?
Well, and people aren't often willing to pay for it.
Right. Yeah, and I think the people that are willing to pay for something like Super 8 DV camera, it is going to match their personality, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. They wouldn't have interest in it. So
either way, as a storytelling device, it worked.
Yep, I think so too. So in terms of like vibes, there's even some like footage in this film that's not DV cam that is just very personality driven, I would say, and just like fun, lighthearted. It's like shaky cam, but it's them. It's behind the scenes. It looks like Dad filmed it, which is awesome, and just gets moments like that. People crying, smiling, just being themselves. And I think there's a lot in this film that allows you to get to know, the couple. Clearly, we know them. But I think this is a good reflection of who they are. So,
yes, I agree. I think the way that Dom handled this, no offense, it's not like a super nice getting ready location. It's just an average hotel room. And he was like, downplayed it, cleaned the room. Like, that is exactly how you work with window light. He's created contours on her face, depth. It looks warm.
Yep.
It looks clean. I don't see the person. Like, honestly, this is a weird thing for me, Jared. I don't really want to see the makeup person's face.
I agree.
Like, I wanted them to be in the shadows. Like, I just want to like the bride is popping and the makeup person's nobody, and that's what I want in a film. I don't want, like, sometimes I'm like, who's my subject here, the makeup person or the bride?
Yeah.
And I think that was just, I don't know if it was on purpose, but it seems on purpose.
And it's almost unfair to the makeup artist because they're like, what do I do? Like, what kind of face do I make as I'm...
Just nothing. Just disappear, please.
Yeah, exactly. Like popping it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's usually, it should be controlled by light. It should be controlled by exposure. And I think that, like, I love that. Audio is mostly really, really good. Minus a couple parts where it was peaking, and we'll talk about that. But I like the sound bites in terms of the audio story. Like he laid it all out really well. And then of course
that's the thing. It was laid out very well.
This is just like
it's chronological.
A young couple.
Yeah, it's chronological, but there's enough overlap as well that I think worked really.
This is the thing I'll tell people is, like, this is not like a fancy wedding. It's it's nice. It's a nice wedding. It's a country club wedding. But you got to really, if you want to make good films, take the common things and elevate them, like a hotel room. Take the common things and elevate them, like fun vibes, right? Like the car at the end. It was tongue-in-cheek. Clearly, it wasn't like sometimes people do that stuff and they put it in the middle and you're like, this is weird.
Yeah.
It's not funny. You're not it's not self-aware that this is like a silly thing they're doing. It was obvious they were like having fun with that.
Yep.
Throughout the film, it was light. And I think that's really important when you're working weddings. Like, if you're elevating the story, you're elevating the couple, you're not relying on what is in front of you. And it's easier the nicer the venue gets and the more opportunities you have. Don't get me wrong, but if you know how to work with light and you don't try to do too much with your camera, and you really know how to storytell visually, and of course don't screw it up in post, you can elevate anything. And I felt like that's the success of this. And these are just, I love these people. So for me, it represented what I know them to be. So that's great.
Kind of getting back into theme and the storytelling and where you're deciding to put your sound bites amongst B-roll. I think he did a really good job. Like, the more I do wedding films, the more I realize it's actually a lot like being a comedian and doing like almost like stand-up comedy. It's like, it's all about timing and understanding the nuance. Like, you could tell the same joke one night and then the next joke the next night, and if your timing is just off a little bit, it's not funny. It's just that small little understanding of the nuance of why the joke is funny or why the moment is important. And like, the more wedding films you do, the more wedding films you watch from other people and hear, I think you start to understand that. And that just comes with practice. Like, Dom understands it. Dom has done over 100 weddings, maybe 150, 200. We keep Dom pretty busy back in the day.
Oh, he's definitely done at least 150 weddings.
Yeah. So, you understand how things are going to make people feel based on where you're cutting certain things. So just practice.
He's a pro. Dom is a pro.
Yes.
Like, he does his own thing, but he's done a lot even before he did his own thing. He's a pro. So let's talk about some areas he can improve, or at least in your opinion, he can improve. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Yeah, let me mention, because I already mentioned it. That one shot with the backlit dress. I have used to do that shot a lot. Now I've grown to hate that shot for many reasons. One is just the blown out backdrop. Like, it's just,
I kind of feel like you should have blown it out more. If he was gonna blow it out, because I don't like seeing those windows.
I kind of feel like it could have been shot as a backup, and maybe I wouldn't have even used it. I just don't like the blown out look. I've been actually putting that dress and finding like a side light against a wall. I prefer that, because I don't like it blown out. I don't want it to expose the fact that I'm using a certain type of camera. Clearly, if you use more expensive camera, you're going to have more dynamic range. If you don't have as expensive of a camera, it's going to blow the
What I don't like about the blown out or the backlit dress is the chicken breast.
That's the other thing I was going to mention is you see the chicken cutlets, where the bra is, and it doesn't really show off like the lacing. It does show it off, but what does your
It's a
eyes
tough
try to
scenario
into?
because it's like,
Well, that's why I say use your light differently. Use more of a side light. Those look like they. It is a tough room, so it is what it is. If nothing works, I've just learned to like cut it out of the film. Like we don't even use it in the film if it doesn't show off the dress in the way that I want to show it off.
yeah. I mean, also I just don't like that it's not centered in the.
Yeah.
Like there's.
That's a hard shot to get in the window.
There was
in a
no
place like
awesome shot to
Yeah.
be had, so whatever.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep. So and that's why I would say maybe don't even use that shot.
maybe.
So that was my first one. And then the other thing is just an irk. This is another Jared critique for you, Jason. Is during the speeches, light stands in the background, and I do that too sometimes, and that's why I'm like gonna be hard on this part. Is just like seeing those black stands.
You know what? Oh, sorry,
as a
thinking,
videographer,
I'm thinking about your previous critique, Jared, and I'm looking at this space, and I'm going, what about right in that corner? Like he could have
That's what
done
I'm
this
saying.
exact same shot.
Yeah, in the corner. Turn off the lights clearly. 'cause
Yeah.
Or serial light turn.
Maybe he couldn't have hung it anywhere, but anyway, moving on.
Maybe, yeah. There's not actually. You know what every wedding videographer should have, and we actually don't have them, and I'm gonna buy them right now. Is just contact hooks that you put on the wall. You can hang a dress or whatever, and then as soon as you're done,
that's
you
a
pop
clutch
it right
thing.
off.
That's a
super
clutch
clutch. A lot of photographers use them. Get them if you're a wedding filmmaker, and you can do exactly what we're talking about, using your dress wherever you want to. But anyways, the other thing was light stands in the background during speeches. Just seeing that line that's out of focus, and us as videographers, we know exactly what that is. Not shooting that direction. Sometimes speeches just happen, and you kind of have to get the shot that you want, and that's kind of when it happens to me.
Sometimes you're just a real dope, and you're just like Dom, who's like literally. He's probably literally shooting that, going. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, exactly. I like standing in my background. Yeah,
It's part of my art.
Are you drinking whiskey, Jason? Oh no, Topo Chico. It's a whiskey pour. Middle of the day.
Yeah, it's.
But those are kind of my critiques right off the bat. Besides that, dude, I think it was a really solid film for what it was.
I have an actual major critique of this film, and I was like, should I say this? I honestly think the vibe was off with the music. Like, so a couple things, or just the overall, there was a missing element in the film.
Well, Caleb sang this song. This is an original song. Caleb sang both those songs.
Oh, good.
No, I'm playing.
I know. No, here's my beef. I know these people. Like, first, like, you didn't hear Brooke one time in the film. She's laughing. She's like being like over the top. Like, I know this personality, and I'm thinking like, come on, include this, right? It never lightened up as much as I wanted, right? Especially with the handheld footage and stuff. Like, I think a young couple like this, you can give it a little more juice, and you can like really like some more found footage, like some more like on camera audio, even just give it a little more lightness. If you're gonna do fun, make it really fun. Like, I know, like, we've taught you a template at Stop Go Love on how to make a standard boring wedding film, and I honestly
we do good films.
Yeah, but I honestly think like this film, I would have broken the mold a little bit, and I would have tried to extract the couple's fun a little more, because what you notice when you just like. It just flatlines a little, and it really, like, visually it's not flatlining. Like, I'm watching the energy of the people, and I'm like, oh, this is up, and I wanted to kind of bring some more of that lightness and fun.
I didn't mention it in my positive side, but I loved the dance floor footage Dom got of everybody.
Like, great, all of it was great.
Especially when you're friends with people, they're much more willing to like interact with your camera, make eye contact with you. And you did a lot of that. That was awesome. It just felt really fun and good. And like, what Henry does with a lot of people, he's just on the dance floor partying with them. Like, that stuff feels really good. I do think, and I agree with you, Jay, like, he could have brought that into the entire day a lot more.
They would have been into it. They would have been into
like that. Yeah. There's a couple shots where he did that, but I think he could have really done a lot.
I think the shots were good.
Yeah,
I think
too.
it's the audio, the lack of found footage. I think it was just a little too serious. throughout the whole film a little, and that's all. It was too safe.
Yeah.
Like,
and you think the song was the thing that started?
Well, like
safety.
Here's the song. It's like
Peace that comes from Christ rule in your.
Good speech from that kid, by the way.
Yeah. Like it's like really, really heavy.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just like, this just didn't feel like Brooke to me.
Yeah.
And that's maybe I'm biased because I know them, but I'm also looking at like maybe she would act like that on the day. Some people and they're crazy on their wedding day and they're not that way. So I understand that, but I'm watching and it's like this is not this person. Like this person's like, that's like she's actually crazy. So that was all. That was like a storytelling critique I have.
Totally. I was going to also mention one other critique is doing the first look in the same location with Dad and with Isaiah. I wish it just was a little bit different of a background. Small critique. It's not a big deal. Maybe a lot of people won't even notice, but
I noticed.
Yeah. So even if it's just like literally rotating 45 degrees.
Or changing your focal length.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do because literally Dad is like standing
What is
there
up with dads and first looks that they literally... Should we make a video on YouTube called How to Do a First Look with Your Daughter?
How to be a good dad.
Like literally, like they'll just like open the door and be like, oh, or like sometimes you're like, hey, we're going to do a first look at one. Where's Dad? Oh, you want me to be here? You want me to be at the place?
Yeah.
It's just the craziest thing, man. Like the amount of times I've had dads like literally just botch the first look.
Yeah. Well, we worked with that dad on New Year's this year, and we were like, she was like, I want to do a first look with my dad. She was all into it. And we're like, okay. And then when we're standing there waiting for Dad, she's like, he's not going to have any reaction at all. And we're like, okay, why would you want to do that? He comes in, he's like, how's it going, kid? All right, this is it. All right, good. Like, didn't even want to like give her a hug. We were like, whoa.
We're like, can you hug her? He's like, okay.
All right. Is that what you guys want? You guys want me to hug? We're like, you don't want to hug your daughter on her wedding day?
And she's like, yeah, okay. And they're just like,
yeah.
I mean, she prepared us. She's like, this is what's going to happen.
She called it. Yeah. She was right. But it is a funny thing.
Dom's a great filmmaker, guys. Really good filmmaker.
Good job, Dom.
Good job, Dom.
Yep.
Proud of you.
Proud of the man that you've become.
All right.
All these years.
Last film is from someone. It's been a while since they've submitted, so I'm excited. It's Tyler Redman. He's a Kiwi. He said long day started around 8 a.m. Rigging lights. That sounds crazy. And
wow, I'm excited to see what this looks like.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want any stands in the ground from the starting. Okay.
Rigging light in the teepee. Wow.
Okay, sure. So I had to ring around the hotels in the area to find shower caps, which would protect the cameras. Okay, so it was raining. It seems like it's always raining in New Zealand. We have 2 locations. And they ran out of time, so they didn't do that. 2 shooters, 9 cameras. Oh, come on, man. 9 cameras.
This is like a Tom Cruise stunt. Rigging lights, 9 cameras. Let's see.
Tyler, I'm gonna have to critique this film for the effort put in, regardless of how good it is. So just so you know.
You're saying there's too much effort put in?
100%. There's no way this film is a 9 camera rigging your lights in the morning film.
Well, I'm curious to see. And Tyler, I think Tyler's here, right?
Yeah, he's here.
How many people was he working with?
And I know Tyler, so I'm going to be a little harder on Tyler.
Yeah.
So here we go.
That's okay.
Friendship caught fire. It is quiet, mutual confidence, sharing and forgiving.
No.
It is loyalty through good and bad times. It settles for less than perfection and
Smaller
makes allowances for human
Just
weaknesses.
not that. Don't do that.
Love is content with the present, hopes
Good drone
for the
stuff,
future,
though. Good
Yeah,
and does not
he's a good
brood
shooter.
over the
And of
past.
course, he's in
It is a day
beautiful
in,
New
day
Zealand.
out chronicles of
Cheater.
irritations, problems, compromises, small disappointments, big victories, and working towards common goals.
I've been searching my whole life for.
If you have love in your life, it can make up for great many things you lack.
Non-backlight
If you do
dress
not
looks
have
way
it,
better.
no matter what else there is, it is not enough.
I was gonna say, look out for this.
That big
No, I'll
water
show
ball.
you. No, watch. This is the thing I'm always trying to remind people of when they're shooting, and it's like, this is reflective. Hi, Tyler. Hi, Tyler. So it's not always a big deal, but I do like people to know, hey, you're in the shot. This is Black Magic, correct? Okay, so this is a longer one, and so I was gonna say we are gonna stop intermittently. There's a couple parts we're gonna skip, because I did kind of poke around the film a little, Jared. But I was gonna say one thing that I noticed early in the film is they don't show who's giving that opening toast, and I could barely hear them. It was very disorienting. Did you find that little opening speech to be strange?
Not particularly myself, but I wasn't really looking at that. I'm kind of more thinking about shots and looking at the comment section too.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was super jarring. What about it was jarring to you?
Well, A, the way it was mixed. B, it just was like the topic of what they were saying was just kind of generic, boring wedding stuff. It wasn't like really opening quality.
Yeah, not leading with your best.
No, and it wasn't personal. Like for me, and this is just me, like I like to, if I'm gonna have someone talking at the beginning of a film, I don't like it to be like formalities from the ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be like a personal comment that matches the beginning. A lot of establishing shots too. Like lots of drone shots over and over again. Like it took me a really long time to see the bride and in general.
For the first time I can finally see that every path has led me straight to
How do you feel about the pop zooms, Jared?
I was just going to ask you, Jason, because the last film that we saw, too, had some pop zooms with that DV camera.
I like them on DV camera. I do not like them here.
I think what Tyler just did there was trying to mimic DV camera, though.
Yes, but I don't like it.
Back when I first started doing not even wedding films, that was a big thing, was the pop zooms. I used to do a lot of concert stuff. And pop zooms back then were a big deal. It was like pop zooms, focus rolls. Those were the two moves. And I think on the old DV cameras, it's a look because it encapsulates a certain time. Now on digital cameras, I think if you do it, you should definitely make it seem like you're trying to mimic that style of shit.
Well, you gotta really do it.
Yeah.
Like anyway,
yeah.
It just wasn't like it didn't look to me like it just looked like an adjustment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Cool shot.
Yeah, except kind of not. Like, what are they doing? Like,
they're looking out at the horizon.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Pointing.
I jump back into every
Tyler, is this all black magic? Let us know in the comments.
He said it's mostly black magic.
Mostly black magic.
Yep.
What is the other camera that you're using? I'd love to know.
I think you get props from it just being a black magic manual focus.
Oh, I know what he's working with here. This is not easy.
straight to
I don't think that moment reads the way you wanted it to read.
Yeah.
Like, A, it doesn't look like real slow-mo. It looks like 24. Like, but B, like, it just doesn't need to go on that long. Just show it. You know what it is? Like, maybe this is just not... when people are interacting, Jared, I don't really love it to be slow-mo. For me, slow-mo is like something like there's slow-mo things and then there's not slow-mo things.
Yeah, like editorial stuff, cool and slow-mo.
Yes.
It looks like a perfume commercial. When it's an actual moment of people, I think it can start feeling
kissing
a
and
little
hugging,
bit gimmicky.
especially like when they're like,
yeah, it's an authentic moment that you're trying to. I think people just want to watch a natural, organic moment between two human beings.
Well, and also like you're making me focus on how weird hugging and kissing are. They're in slow motion. Like all I can look at is like with someone's arm angle and like I just wanted to like be focused on the action.
Yeah,
because that is the thing. The action is the thing, not the like speed of the frame rate.
Totally, I totally agree. I was gonna write it down, but you just came out with it. Jim.
Yeah.
Set.
Some of the color looks really nice.
Yep.
I don't like that sequence. Do you like that sequence?
I was looking at the comments in that literally 5 seconds that you are asking me about.
It was a sequence of all the children in a row, close-ups of each of their faces.
Oh yeah. I just watched it in the replay. Not in that.
I don't like it as a sequence. Like, hey, look at this like sequence of children that they all are associated with this wedding.
Yeah.
I don't mind them being in the film. I just would have put them in more organic ways.
Yeah.
And like, you got to be careful not being too schlocky with wedding films. Like, it is a cheesy subject to begin with, and so you got to downplay the cheese.
It's such a fine line with a shot like that, and I'll commend Tyler for thinking about a shot like that, because these are probably people that are mean something to the bride or to the groom, right?
Yeah, no, they should be in the film for sure.
They having him in the film and making a focus, like the bride could have been like, these kids are really important to me. Like, I really want to see them in the film and how they're there. So thinking about how are ways that I can show them off that isn't just like capturing them misbehaving in the corner or dancing on the dance floor while everyone's eating dinner, So I commend him for thinking about ideas like that. It has to be so perfectly executed. I can imagine actually someone like maybe Alex Douglas doing a shot like that, straight on looking.
Yeah, it should be on a tripod. It needs to be perfect.
It has to be executed perfectly and almost like take a lot of time to actually do the setup.
Yeah, it was like there were different
lighting
distances with the kids, and some of their faces were cut. It just was. It was like.
Otherwise, if you don't execute it perfectly and there's flaws in it, it just falls off quickly.
To answer your question, Brendan, I don't mind slow mo. I think most people slow it down a little too much a lot of times. I just don't like weird slow mo kisses that. And like moments that are real life moments, like Jared said, editorial moments are fine for slow mo.
Yeah.
To me, couple portraits are editorials, so like you can control how it is, and versus like people just like having a first look and like kissing for their first look and talking and just stuff like that. Anyway,
it's an organic moment that you're kind of like want to put your stamp on, and I'm like, the moment is itself. That's what's emotional. It's just people being people. And really, that's what all our stories are, is you want this story to be about the people and just don't interrupt it. Don't make an effect. Don't put a filter on it. Like, don't put an Instagram filter over the photographer's work. Like, kind of same deal. It's like,
well, and also having faster actions on your screen helps the edit feel faster. It feels poppier. When everything's slow, the whole edit drags. So
yeah.
Maddie, you came into my life when I least expected it, when I thought I was happy doing my own thing, and yet you've been the best thing to ever happen to me. Since meeting, we've had some really great triumphs, and some literal disasters together. These trials have pushed the boundaries of what we thought we could endure.
What is
In
up
the
with
end,
those
I'm
cars
strongly
behind?
Connected with you and a resolve to get up and try again. I love you dearly for all that you are.
That's brutal.
I'm amazed by your strength and resilience when all is but lost. I may not want to admit it, but I even love your determination to win everything. You're my favourite human, and forever will be my favourite human. I look forward to every day and a great life we're about to embark on and create together. I promise to love and care for you, and I will try in every way to
Tyler, how did you record the audio for this?
always be honest with you, kind, patient, and forgiving.
Seems like it's
I
straight
promise
through.
to try not to be right.
I'm hearing the speaker though. That's what
Most
is
of all,
interesting to me.
I promise to be true
Sounds like it's
and loyal
recorded
to you.
but
I love
on
you.
the speaker.
James, I remember the night we first met. I looked at you and thought, who is this guy? We spoke for hours on end and I just knew you were different. Your charm, cheekiness.
When you met your
That feels very Super 8 and DV camera. That last shot, that zoom.
Yeah.
So I think he executed on that one really well, and it even looks different. So,
Jared, when you met your wife, did you just talk for hours on end the first night you ever met?
well, I did, and I was gonna ask her out, but then her boyfriend came and sat down next to her.
But who?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So I couldn't really. I had to play it cool. Yeah. That's the first time I met my wife.
Awesome.
After a
And
mere
he
3
got
weeks, I told
stolen
you I loved
from.
you and we've never looked back. You bring out a side of me that I didn't know existed, a vulnerable side, a side I never wanted anybody to see. You make me feel like it's okay to let my walls down. And
The color on this one camera
We
is
have been
just
on a crazy.
odd. It's the one camera that I keep seeing.
On the bride?
No, one of the cameras, like this looks great. This is perfect. One of the cameras, I keep seeing lifted blacks, and it's just messing me.
You know, so he mentioned that a little bit in the comments. Said he goes, "Tell me about it." I found out when editing, he also used auto exposure and autofocus. Autofocus. So I'm wondering what camera he's using autofocus for, and actually, what camera are you using on your gimbal?
Like, so this shot, that stuff right there, I would love to know what camera
Bring out a
is
side
that
of me
stuff
that I
shot
didn't know
on.
existed.
That shot right there.
No, the one of all the grooms like
Side I never-
pummeling.
It
this
looks
stuff.
smudged. It looks like it's like there's like water on the lens or the smudge or something.
Yeah, it's like lifted blacks or smudgy or something.
And it's
so
it looks like there's a filter on it.
super distracting to me every time that camera comes in.
Yep.
Anyway.
You make me feel like it's okay to let my walls down. And you love me no matter what. We have been on a crazy ride.
That camera
from
looks great, though.
Cambridge,
Yes.
England, and now
And that one less so.
You support me through the really good times, but also the lowest of lows.
Is that
You support my
porta
big crazy
potties in the
dreams,
background?
and you never question
No, it's another
You have
car.
sacrificed
It's like a
everything for
bus
me.
or something.
Ridiculous. I can't believe they did that.
You love me when I'm happy.
I don't know, like I
when
feel
I'm
bad
miserable,
because it's like I don't know what
and even when
The
I'm-
people that park there, you're saying?
Sorry, and I apologize. I'm talking over this lady, but I'm just like her vows are just too. This is just too long. I'm skipping.
Okay. Yeah, I would say the
moving
blue behind the groom is brutal. Like I would probably
Literally, she's still talking like a minute later.
I would probably try to move that camera to make it so that, you know, if someone did that to me, I would be like, oh.
I would say that is unacceptable. You as a wedding filmmaker need to look at how much space they have, and they still manage to put a stupid car directly behind the groom's head. That's just ridiculous. So, okay, so we're looking at his camera placements here. We got one in the back, one there, one there. There's Tyler over there shooting on his gimbal. Looks like. Is that man with the scally cap also shooting?
Yes.
I'm just really confused by the camera configuration then.
There was a cut back to back with his camera, not Tyler's, his second shooter's, and it cuts right to the camera, right to his right, like back to back, and it's like such a close.
But why wouldn't that guy be shooting that moment
configuration
from the center aisle?
I agree, because it's jarring going from one camera to the other, such a similar angle, but then you can tell the cameras are different.
Scally cap man.
Boop. Yep.
And also, like, why are we shooting the crowd right now? Like, so I would just tell you, like, you know, to me, Jared, this film is marked by trying to do way too much. It would be way better if it was more focused. It's just, I can tell, like, there's a focus on getting cameras set up and not a focus on what's actually going in front of them. And I would say, like, simplify your approach.
and this is the truth. When you're trying to do a lot of cameras, not only is it a lot of setup time, but then say something changes, a cloud comes on, you have to change all of the cameras, white balance. Like if you're on
everything,
maybe if you're on auto white balance, maybe I should change auto white balance, but you have to change everything. You have to change your exposure potentially, and so it's much easier to make mistakes when you are monitoring.
Or when you have a second shooter that apparently doesn't know what they're doing, and you're having to rig up lights and set up 9 cameras. That's just crazy. So, and it's
hard. That's hard to do.
It's not. You're just hurting your own ability to focus on what you're doing. So I would encourage you. Like, there's a lot of good in here, but I know Tyler too, and I think this is just an impulse he has, which is he likes gear. He wants to set up lots of gear. He think like that. I get that.
I would say, Tyler, and I would challenge you. We started a new company back in 2020 called Merriment Films, and the whole idea with this camera was, or with this company was, single camera, and we only bring 2 cameras on the wedding day. One is like a wide shot for the ceremony. The other is a handheld. The wide shot is on a gimbal. We put it on a tripod during the ceremony. The rest of it's just handheld. And honestly, these films are awesome. Like, because it just simplifies.
Well, and you're focusing on like, what's the action? That's
Right.
what I always tell people. I'm like, what is the action you're trying to show?
Yep.
Okay, this is this guy talking. Then it's this person talking. And
Yep.
like, you're focused on capturing that action optimally.
Yep.
Instead of setting cameras up and like doing this multicam complicated thing. And I would say from you, like, you're early in your career, like simplify your approach and make sure you can nail 3 cameras before you do 9.
Yes. That's probably a good.
Where could that center shot even be though? Like, and again, like you said, there is a center shot, but the focus is off. There's too many variables. You're trying to manage too much. So let's keep going.
I promise to try and appreciate your stubbornness. I promise to try and honk your nose as much as possible. I promise to try and be cleaner and put my dishes away.
That would be really great.
I promise to care for you and to always support your dreams. I promise to be there for you no matter what life throws our way.
Answer this too, Tyler. Did you pay for a certain length film, or did you choose to make it this long? Because that's interesting. And again, this is that like smudged camera, Jared.
I promise to love you every day, and I promise to choose you every day. You're my person.
Those are definitely the black magic movies.
Yeah, the skin tones, man. They're just
so good looking.
Chef's kiss.
So good looking. But that smudge camera.
Ugh, brutal.
I want it's almost like it's not even smudged. It's almost like
I wonder if it has
just condensation.
Pro mist or
something. Maybe a pro mist.
Or
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I love that moment with the dad, by the way, the bagpipes.
Whoa.
Oh, the dad was a mess, huh? Love the dad. All right.
Sorry. All right, Jared, what do you feel about this moment that you're watching?
The songs are
very strange.
Not ones that I would choose.
And it's also just like it's not Ray Roman. Like, we're not shooting like a Instagram model. you know, like in like Cabo with like.
Well, I mean,
the gravity is what I'm talking about. Like it's not.
Sure.
This is not a high drama couple. This is a connected, like personal people. Like it should match them. Like it's just the thing I see a lot, Jared, is like people when they're starting out, they always want to use those songs. Those songs that are like Alex Douglas songs, the Ray Roman songs, like the high drama.
Yeah, but the shots that you're even able to get, it's not about you shooting. It's not your fault. But the shots that you're able to get just can't match the depth and the drama.
There's like literally like DJ lasers.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not like, I'm not criticizing anyone
You have like
involved.
a $30,000, you know, lighting guru who's working at those weddings, and you know you have the shots that can match it. At a wedding like this, they just don't have it. It's just yellow floodlight on the dance floor, and you're like, and then pink uplights, and you're like, oh, I'm limited.
So let's talk about the stuff that Tyler did well. I think we both mentioned that we like there's a like certain cameras and certain moments that look excellent and have great skin tones and look really, really good. A lot. I even like some of this details and like you know there's some of that stuff. I don't really like some of the fake gimbal stuff or the actual gimbal stuff, but I think a lot of like these moments were very successful, like these handheld personal moments, and I think in general like it's obvious you know how to shoot, and I think it shines through that you love cinematography. Like you love to shoot and you love the craft, and I think
that definitely comes through.
That's definitely awesome.
I think, Tyler, since the last time I saw your films, you've taken some really big steps.
Oh, I would agree with that too.
Really big steps.
Big time.
Like, you know, the first films, like, felt like, man, for someone who's starting early, trying to do just using a Blackmagic camera, like as someone who owns and is, you know, filming on one right now. If I just roll out of focus just by doing this, like it's hard. It's really hard to use these cameras. All manual focus, you know, but at the end of the day, beautiful. Jay and I are big fans. But you're trying to bite a lot off, and I commend you for it. I would agree with Jason, like simplifying your process a little bit more, get great at certain things, and then moving on to bigger and better things would be, you know, do wonders for you probably, and just allow you to focus on doing one thing like really great as opposed to spreading your greatness over 9 cameras, like we had said. So, but overall, you know, I think sometimes he mentioned, Jay, they bought a certain length film, so it's like you got to go get that money sometimes, and just, you know, take.
Yeah, maybe you don't sell that film.
Yeah.
Though.
Maybe, but you know. I mean, we sell. We just posted about it on the Facebook group.
But we can make it.
We did a 15-minute film.
Sure, you can do it if you're good at it, but this is not.
And if you find good ways to do it, and if you have the format to do it well.
We experimented with it before we sold it.
Yep.
And we made sure we could get a formula down to capture the footage and do that. I would look at this and say he should master the 6-minute film before he tries to sell a 9-minute film.
Yep. And you know, some of these ideas, like I'm looking at some of like the GoPro footage, the 360 camera. I mean, in theory, they're good ideas, and I commend you for like, hey, I'm just gonna experiment. Like I like that in a filmmaker, like seeing people do new things. I don't think they're bad ideas. I think those are actually good ideas, but just trying to nail the execution. And I think
you just can't succeed at every. It's like filmmaking is hard.
You can't succeed at everything, you know. It's a lot of
even
pressure.
Like, let's talk about he got up at 8 a.m. to hang these lights. You can't see lights.
Is it? Yeah, this was in the TP.
Yeah, there's no. Where is the light?
Yeah, I don't.
You know, like why did you spend your time doing that?
Yeah.
You know, like I honestly think like that's the question. That is the core filmmaking question, Jared. Why am I spending my time doing X instead of Y? And like when you realize like every moment you're spending on a set or at a wedding, you could be doing something else. Like you could be shooting something else. You could be fixing something. Like you are never just, you're always choosing to do one thing over another thing.
Yeah.
That's filmmaking in general. And I think try simplifying. Like don't do things that are going to maybe not pay off.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you could set lights up that early in the day and not even know where things are going to be set.
He just commented about it. He said the lights were hung for the speeches, which I didn't use. So there you go. Yeah.
I just think, and they're like too much vows too. Let me give you a couple quick hits on this one. Way too much vows, like way too much. I think it was like 5 minutes of just those people talking. Almost no speeches. So like there was nothing like that lightened the film up really.
Yeah.
And then the last song was super intense, but it was just like run of the mill 3 minutes poorly lit dance floor footage. And then it was like this super intense, like I could tell what he was trying to do from like a narrative framework standpoint. Like this is the moment, this is their dance, you know, but it just didn't look right. And it just was way drawn out too much.
Yep.
And I think the gimbal throughout the film, like you got, like if you're going to shoot Blackmagic gimbal, you got to get a way higher standard and you got to shoot a lot wider. Like 24 millimeter, 35 at max to me.
So I'll give an example of me trying to do too much. Just recently, I think it was back in 2020, we brought our Ursa Mini Pro camcorder to the Napa wedding that we shot a couple years back.
Just to try it.
Just to try it out. And we brought these lenses, these Canon Cine lenses with us, put it on the gimbal because we had a gimbal that can hold a 15-pound rig. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And literally, I regretted it the entire time because even if you have super nice setup, it was exhausting. It didn't make our film better. It actually probably made it worse because I didn't want to use it a whole lot because it was just too much gear. Like it was just simplify the process, make it easier. I love gear, by the way.
I think like you need the gear you need, and there's nothing wrong with a lot of gear when it has a purpose.
Yeah.
And when
when it prevents you from getting the shots and it makes it actually there's a certain like lack of return on.
You're a slave to the gear, like you're just using the gear because you have to use the gear.
Right.
And like I think you're kind of like running around panicking a little. I think I love shooting gimbal on the Blackmagic. It is very challenging. So I kind of enjoy that, but I think like definitely there's just a lack of intentionality, Tyler, in your filmmaking right now. You're trying to do too much. You're just pushing, and I love that you're pushing, but I would say like now push yourself to do everything well. Like focus on like nailing all the components of wedding film coverage. Like get the speech, nail the speeches. Make sure your cameras are all the same. Like make sure you're giving good instructions to your second shooter. Making sure like you have good lighting for the moments that you want to use in your film. Like not having a 360 camera and another camera that you can't even focus. And then like there's so much going on. Like this is probably the most high production wedding that we've done on the show.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of amount of time put in by the filmmaker.
Yep.
And I would say definitely, that's why I was like, I'm going to push it. I'm going to judge this harshly because I think there are some films that are more successful with 2 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And because the focus.
Yeah, this one I would probably say 3 to 4 cameras. I would have
4 cameras would have been fine.
4 cameras would have been nice.
Like maybe 5 if you like just had a gimbal dedicated.
Ceremony, I would have had a wide shot, a gimbal, 2 tights. Keep it simple. And then my second shooter, I'd probably have like 3 of them on tripods, maybe 2 on tripods, 1 handheld, and then the gimbal operator.
I would have covered this wedding easily by myself.
Totally.
Like you just didn't need all the moving parts.
Yeah.
It just made it harder.
What do you think about a second shooter? I think it was it Grant? Yeah, Fitzgerald Films talked about second shooters, Jay. And he was like, I would just prefer to shoot it by myself because most people who are good are busy and they work. And anytime you bring on a second shooter, they're probably not going to be that good. They're probably going to screw up your footage. What do you think of that sentiment?
I understand it totally. And
I think you're a good person to ask because anytime I'm like, you're going to use this assistant, sometimes you're like, I just want to work by myself.
Yeah, so I work with people because I want to train people.
Yes.
But there are random days where I'm just like, I can't today.
Yeah.
I need to just I just want to focus. I don't want to deal with this person.
Yep.
I totally get that. I will say, if you invest in people, just like the last film that we showed by Dom, all the people that have come through our company that have learned filmmaking, that make good films in their own right, if you invest in people, you will get a return.
Yeah.
You will. So, like, I'm just saying there are days where, like, it is more challenging to work with someone else. And I definitely think at the end of the day, like, you got to have the right framework. You got to have the right space in your day. Like, you got to know, like, having this second shooter, especially if you don't trust them.
Yeah.
You know what I find, Jared, is like a lot of people with their second shooters don't know how to communicate their expectations very well.
I totally agree with that. It's hard because how do you describe all you know as a shooter to somebody? And there's a million things.
Well, even with Rich Ferry is an incredible shooter.
Yeah.
And like, this is what I will say. This is how you know they're a good second shooter. If you're working with a shooter and they come and say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best person.
Yeah.
Like, Rich is a better shooter than probably all y'all. And he comes up to me and he goes, okay, what's the plan today? What would you like me to do? How are we covering these events? What focal length do you prefer on the bride? What do you like? What are we doing for the colors? Like, they are trying to, a professional shooter is trying to fit within the context of the production that they're working on.
Yeah.
And a lot of second shooters in the wedding world, they're like, well, my style. It's like, I don't care about your style at all. I don't even care at all about your style. You should care about my style. I'm the one who paid you. You should be copying me.
And frankly, it's the same way thing with photographers too. When they bring on a second shooter, a lot of second shooters are just thinking about getting portfolio work, you know, for themselves long term. And so if you're shooting something, like I've done, you know, I actually haven't done a whole lot. As a videographer, I've seen it done to other photographers that I'm working with. Is they're literally getting the same exact shot side by side.
Yes.
What is the point of that?
They're on the
person
same
even being
focal
here?
length, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, we're both on 24/7.
Same
What are you
focal length, and
doing?
it's really just so that they're getting portfolio work, and that's BS. Like, I hate that because as a videographer, I'm like, would rather just have one photographer. I'm sure the photographer would rather just have me, so we're just not getting each other shots as much. Second shooter.
Yeah, I would say tell that second shooter to go pound sand. Don't work with them anymore. Just learn to shoot a 3-camera wedding by yourself if that's what you have to do. Your films will be better.
Yep.
You don't need that guy. He sucks.
Yep. But overall, to just close out on Tyler's film, again, I think you've gotten so much better, Tyler. I think I'd be curious to see how much they paid for this, and I don't know how much, you know, is industry standard down yonder, but I think this is a good film, and it is something that's deliverable. I'm sure.
Oh, I know this
film.
couple.
They loved
this film.
Yep.
And you know,
at the end of the day, that's all what it's all about.
You can see the effort, and I wanted to say too, I ripped it because I felt it was unforced errors.
Well, I thought it's just because you're a jerk, Jay.
No, I'm kind of a jerk. I am, but also, I just think you didn't have to do that. Like, you could have, made a better film if you didn't try that. That being said, just the image you're producing is way light years ahead. The color grading, I think you're on the right track.
Yep. I think one day, Tyler, because you love filmmaking and you progress. I don't think that you're content with just doing okay wedding films. I think your wedding films are going to be amazing and they're going to blow people away. So keep on keeping on.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, I love it. And really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed that, by the way, Tyler's done consults with us. If you want coaching, we head over to weddingfilm.school/coaching or just go to the homepage and you can see a button. But if you're looking for coaching as a wedding filmmaker, we do provide some coaching. We're happy to talk to you about your films. We're happy to do private film critiques. We're happy to just talk about business and whatever you need. Head over there. If you enjoyed this live stream, go ahead and hit like. That means a lot to us, helps our channel. We got some more content coming up. And as always, thank you so much for joining Wedding Film School Live here on Wedding Film School. Have a great day, guys.